Well, that's 4 concerts we did quite a lot since now 5 years. We did it for the first time in Paris in 2012. So we get used to play these 4 concerts. It's a very strong project, but also something very demanding as a player, and probably also very demanding in the audience, for the audience. It's quite difficult also for the audience, but it means also that it is really interesting.
I think for them it's very demanding also.
Yes.
Because at the first step the pleasure is not immediate. So, but I think the pleasure is extraordinary at the second step.
You can find beautiful things, really beautiful, touching things in all of these pieces, and also something very dark in Beethoven, Schönberg or Boulez, but also something very nice in all of these pieces.
It's interesting how the programs are made and how they change their mind in general, because the first concert is Beethoven 12, Boulez 1, and it ends with Schönberg 1, which is a very long one and very romantic one. So the winner for the first concert is always Schönberg. So everybody says after the first concert, this quartet of Schönberg is, I didn't, in general they don't know it, so they said, I didn't know this piece, but this piece is fantastic, incredible. I loved it really. From the second concert, it starts to change, because second concert we have Schönberg with voice, but also the Beethoven with the grosse Fuge, and then it changes towards Beethoven, and at the end of the cycle in general they said, oh, but this Beethoven is so incredible, and how he can it's really the more contemporary composer of the group, which is probably true, I think.
At the occasion of the premiere of the 4th quartet of Arnold Schönberg in Los Angeles by the Polish Quartet in January 1937, they decided, together with Arnold Schönberg, to program not only the 4th quartet, but all of the quartets by Arnold Schönberg, but coupled each of these quartets by a late Beethoven. As there are 5 late Beethoven, they decided not to play the last one, the number 16, the ones with 5, but then to start with the number 12 and to end with the number 15.
The base of this premiere of the 4th quartet in 37 and the idea of the whole series came from Kolisch himself, and from Kolisch and discussing with Schönberg.
It was also matter of, for the first time, to show that this music, this new music for them, was able to be together with the older music, and especially with the late Beethoven, which had one of the best masterpieces, not only of string quartet repertoire, but also in the music history.
I remember the first time we saw this thing, and the first time I read about it, I said, I want to do it, and I really can't really explain why, but I think, yes, of course, it's great, and let's do that. We need to do that. It was just, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just a wish. As it was a tribute, we wanted also to add a contemporary music element. That was for us from the very beginning. Okay, we take it back, but we don't want to take it back only to play those 2 things. We need to have a new element of it inside. First, it was difficult to find a composer who could compete. So find a composer who could compete, find a composer with 4 pieces at least, because 4 concerts, and to add 1 new piece. So it was actually find a composer with 3 pieces and who could premiere a 4th piece, because we wanted to premiere something also.
Okay, we're French. Who is the French famous composer of the world? It's Boulez. And he had only 1 quartet, and then this quartet is so specific that we can fragment several parts and play together or not. So this makes a perfect deal, and then we just try to understand, to follow the whole life of Boulez, to think, okay, this is the personality and the music understanding is at Schönberg finally. It's really the logic continuity. So the choice was finally Very natural.
And so we went to him, we presented the project to him, and he said, great, I will do that for you. And immediately. He was really a legend, a legendary person. So and especially maybe as a French person, when you grew up in the French system, in the Paris Conservatoire and the French orchestras and French institutions, he was really on the top of the pyramid. France is a very pyramidal system, so there is always one person there and the rest. So we were very scared.
We know from people who worked with him a lot, in ensemble, in orchestras and etc., that when it was about music and speaking about music, working on music, he was extremely friendly and without any barrier. No matter what you did, your age, your education, it doesn't matter.
Your statute.
Your statute, if you are a star or not. That's not a problem. If you want to speak to me, there is no problem. I am here for that. And when we got the chance to work with him, it was exactly like that. He was there, really friendly, really helpful as well, with a lot of humor as well. I mean, so sometimes joking about himself, joking about his own music.
It was very surprisingly a very simple man. He was very simple, very direct, very... he was not talking a lot. He was using few words, but very strong words, always the right ones. Very concentrated person, very, very concentrated. That was the first thing, which was really amazing. But it was impossible to, I think, to talk to. Well, you had really to be very cautious when you were talking to him, because you had to speak his own language and his own way. And as far as you were asking something, a bit too negative or too around the way he wanted to think, then I think he became the more nasty person you can imagine. And he was very harsh and very, very strong and very like an animal, a wild animal.
Beethoven was the one who invented a new way for a string quartet to explode totally the shape of the classic string quartet from
especially
Haydn,
the last one,
and Mozart. Not only the genre of string quartet, but something about the music. You can define music through the late Beethoven. So, which means that for the composers after, it was extremely difficult, let's say, to write pieces after him.
It's like a diamond. You take one way to approach, and it's never the good one. Not never the good one, but never the only one. So you have to go back and to search another angle, and etc. You never saw the end.
You will never, I think, in our music life, to finish or to say, okay, I'm good, I understood. I think nobody can say that about Beethoven.
You can look at them, you can listen to them, you can think about them. You can be a poet with them, you can be, I don't know, so many things. But for your brain, to have a dialogue with Beethoven...
There is a famous sentence by Igor Stravinsky, which is that this music will be contemporary forever. He was speaking especially about the grosse Fuge, the final movement of the 13th quartet, but it can apply to all of this late Beethoven.
Sometimes you think you are the king of the world by playing the grosse Fuge, for instance. When you ended the program with the grosse Fuge and you play this, you just have the feeling that you are I don't know, fighting with the entire earth. And it's a very, very strong feeling inside.
The first answer, real answer, from someone to Beethoven was Arnold Schönberg, who did his first quartet as the late 19th century piece, like a symphony just for string quartet, like a romantic symphony just for string quartet. And then the second one with the way, okay, That's finished with the tonality, and I will change the system, and I will also add the voice. And then after exploring also the new system he invented with the third and the fourth quartet, which means that during his life, string quartet was there for all of the period of his musical writing. Each time he wrote one string quartet as a testimony of the different period of his life, of his musical writing. The answer from Boulez is something else. To me, the answer is, for the first time, you will get something you can play separately or totally, which is something totally new. And I mean, it's an answer about the shape. Okay, we had the classical shape from Haydn and Mozart. Beethoven did something to this. Then Schönberg did something to this, and then I will did something else to this, which means that you can get a shape, but you can also not get it, which is an ironic answer, but that's something very important, and that's the main thing I would like to mention about the relationship you can find about these three composers and this string quartet.
We prepare for years, I would say, to perform this kind of very complex works. We need really years and weeks, and it's actually impossible to count or to estimate the time we spent on it.
Tiring.
Yeah,
sometimes.
first I think it's always a challenge to play this cycle, whatever it is. I mean, Vienna, Paris, or Amsterdam, to say. Every pieces of this cycle, they're all of them very demanding, and it's a challenge for our mind, a challenge for our quartet, a challenge for as individual musician. It's also a challenge.
It's a lot of concentration, and we have to find this kind of space, really concentrate space.
But it's a bit like sport people.
Yes.
We have to train our bodies and our brains in a special way. So we have to be careful with try to sleep,
Yes.
relax as much as we can. Not too many practicing the day of the concerts, because we know that it's very, very demanding for the body.
Yes.
We have to be in a bubble.
When you start this cycle, start marathon, and you're really in, and it's difficult to get out in the middle. So it's, I will not say eternal, but it's sort of journey. You start your journey and you travel with all the people with you, and you can only end the journey when this all cycle is finished.